It's the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Monster Monday, as always, presented by DraftKings. I am Ross Tucker. I think you know that. Most of you, at least, former NFL offensive lineman. Played for 5 teams, 7 years, classic journeyman, awesome temp gig in my 20s, primarily because it led to my life now. Are you kidding me? I call NFL games for Westwood One, college games for CBS, do the Eagles games on the preseason, have some other media gigs as well. Then I got a few small businesses, GoBigRecruiting.com, MyFrontPageStory.com, and of course, the RT Media Podcast Network. We'll have an awesome college draft episode today with Emory Hunt, where we will wrap up what's been a really fun series going over every single draft pick and the top undrafted free agents for every team. So at a minimum, check out the college draft and go back and listen to the episode where we talked about your team's division, so you can hear what Emory said about every guy that got drafted by your team and their best undrafted free agent. So at a minimum, listen to the college draft for that, because that was excellent. Tomorrow with Steve Fezzik on the Even Money podcast, we will be going over some of his November bets. Yeah, he already has November bets in the NFL. That's the way these guys are. These pros, they look for value in lines that are already posted at DraftKings in November. I just find it fascinating. We love all of you, but I got to be honest, those of you that send me an email, ross@rosstucker.com, because you took advantage of a sponsor, or those of you that spread the word via social media, we're at Ross Tucker Pod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're at Ross Tucker NFL, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It means a lot. We love the engagement, and I love sending you guys these signed press passes that nobody else you know has. You don't even know what a press pass looks like, probably. Can't wait to send it to you. YouTube shout outs are always cool. We are growing fast on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. You know, it's funny because most interviews on the show are probably like 15 to 17, 18 minutes, I would say. Something like that. But every once in a while, you're talking with a guy, and there's a couple other things that you still want to mention, but you haven't really gotten into yet. And in Kerry Collins' case, I kept teasing that we were going to talk about food, because that's the reason why I even kind of reconnected with Kerry. He kept commenting on some of my food posts on Twitter. Food is unbelievable, by the way. It's just amazing how people have so many opinions on food. Like, Kerry Collins has never once chimed in on any of my football comments, but multiple food comments he has been all over. Speaking of which, we ordered 4 different gnocchis Saturday night. I did it all for the gnocchi. I did it all for the gnocchi. The gnocchi. Anyway, it was awesome. I'm a huge gnocchi fan. Any type of dumpling, any type of, I don't even like doughy thing with delicious goodness inside, that's my jam. That's where I'm at. So anyway, the Kerry Collins conversation went long, so it ended up being a 2-parter because there were some important parts that you guys didn't hear. I want to get to. Obviously, we talked a lot about some Pennsylvania stuff, which means a lot to me and Kerry. And I think I like people that like where they're from and talk about it. Speaking of which, this company started here in central Pennsylvania, but now it's everywhere. It's West Shore Home. Just got an email from one of you. I think her name was Deborah Kramer. She just ordered 2 new bathrooms out in Arizona, I think. So do what I did. At a minimum, go to westshorehome.com/Ross and get the free estimate. Because number one, then you at least know for the future how much it would cost to update your bathrooms, even if you don't want to do it now. And then number two, you can forward me the email, even just the fact that you scheduled the estimate, to ross@rosstucker.com. and you can get in the best ball draft against me and Joe Dolan this week. WestShoreHome.com/Ross. They're amazing. They tore out both our bathrooms, redid them in a day. It was insane. We had 2 old baths. Now we have 2 beautiful. It just like it makes the room brighter. I don't know how to describe it. WestShoreHome.com/Ross. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
Okay, so a lot of times, Kerry, people don't pop out the other side. And you mentioned several times the Giants helping you. I mean, I remember thinking your career, like, that you might be done and I was in college, I think, and that you might end up being called a bust. Next thing I know, you're like leading the Giants to the Super Bowl. What
Yeah.
like what was it like I'm assuming you went to rehab or something, or was there something that like it just clicked for you?
Yeah, I did go to rehab. And one of the best things I did when I did that was, man, I checked Kerry Collins, a football player, at the door, right? There was no dividing line between me as a person and me as a football player, right? It was all wrapped up into one. And like I was saying before, there's just too many highs and too many lows. I mean, it's impossible to sustain that, right? So I needed to separate that who I was as a person from the football player. And one of the ways I did that, and the approach that I took was, you know what, I'm done giving people the opportunity to say bad things about me as a person. Yeah, there are going to be ups and downs on the field. Am I going to have bad games on the field as a quarterback? Yes, but that's on the field. That's different. Now, I was doing nothing but hurt myself just by my actions. Me personally. So I just kind of made that commitment. Hey, look, yeah, you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, or hope to be one day again at that point. And what comes with that is you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have bad games. You're going to have good games. Going to New York, especially, you're going to get some bad. They're going to say bad things about you in the press about your play. But I wanted to eliminate them saying bad things about me as a person, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Kerry, what do you spend? I know you mentioned your daughter. What do you spend most of your time on now?
So actually, I started coaching high school football the last 2 years. I did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Last year, I volunteered. So Franklin High School, we're in Williamson County, Tennessee, just south of Nashville. And I volunteered last year as a quarterback coach. They ended up hiring me on as offensive coordinator this year, man. And let me tell you what, I am having a ball with these kids. I'm having a blast. And I never saw myself as a coach. I mean, truthfully, I was like, man, I'm done with football. I played till I was 40. You know what I mean? Like, I'm done, right? But my daughter went to college. She's at Appalachian State now, playing tennis. And I'm like, well, I got time on my hands, and got to know some of the coaches down there at the high school. My wife's substitute taught there. So I went out to practice. Hey, would you like to volunteer coach last year? I did. Ended up loving it. And they offered me the OC job this year. So, man, I've been spending the whole spring and summer putting in this offense, man, for these kids to run. And I'm having an absolute ball.
So many cool things there. First of all, I have 2 girls, 9 and 11. And if either one of them played a Division I sport, that's incredible that she's playing tennis at App State. Just incredible. And then everybody I know that coaches, there must be something to it, man, because they all love it. I'm a broadcaster, so I'm doing college games, NFL games. And so I was tired of getting fired, man. I got cut 4 times. I got traded once. Like, I was like, no, I'm not getting fired anymore. Especially because coaching, you get fired even though it's not you. You can be the best tight end coach in the world and you get fired anyway. But I did a show for a while with Ed McCaffrey. Right. And Ed's done a lot of coaching. And he said that calling plays, Kerry, is like addicting. It's like, he said it's so fun. It's crazy.
Yeah. And, man, like I said, I got a good bunch of kids. And, man, I'll tell you what, I've thrown a lot at them. And probably the biggest thrill for me, though, and I think I know what guys are talking about is, first of all, just giving back to the game that gave you so much, right? I mean, that's a huge thing. And, the other thing is, it's different. You're not the one out there performing. And so you can take all these things. I take all these things that I learned over the years and can give it back to these kids and influence them. And, I know how passionate they are about football and excited about it. And just knowing that I can take what I learned over the years and help them is so enjoyable. And I told somebody this the other day. Of all the things I've done in football, like coaching has been right up there at the top of the things I've enjoyed about with football. I mean, it really, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
You know, I stunk at baseball, Kerry. But I'm the head softball coach for my daughters.
Nice.
They're both on the same team. My wife's the assistant.
Right.
Out of 19 teams, we won the championship. It is so awesome.
Yeah.
Especially when the girls that maybe it's their first year playing or they're not one of the better girls. When they get a big hit or something,
Yeah.
I mean, I like jump up and down. Like it's incredible. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, you know, just for me being able to draw and everything, I got to tell you the story. The other day we were doing like a 7-on-7 thing with local high schools, and one of our receivers, he dropped a pass and he kind of ended up on the ground and he kind of laid there for a little bit. And all of a sudden, like I felt like the Joe Paterno presence, like, get off the ground. You know what I mean? Like, get up. Because Joe, he could be 2 fields away, but if he saw a kid laying on the ground, like he'd come sprinting over there, like, yelling at him to get off the ground. So, but I mean, think about all the great coaches I played with. You know, Joe, Sean Payton in New York. Jim Fossil, North Turner in Oakland. I played with some great offensive minds, and to be able to pull from all of that, right, and channel it into these kids, man, it's a big thrill for me. It's really fun.
Funny you say that, Kerry, because on Father's Day, I was at the beach on the Jersey Shore, and my wife and daughters went to the market. And I'm sitting there by myself. I texted like 5 or 6 coaches on Father's Day and just said, hey, happy Father's Day. Thank you so much for having a positive impact on my life. Because, you know, those guys, especially like in high school and stuff, they're not doing it for the money. Like, you're not doing it for the money, right? Like,
no.
You're doing it because you want to have a positive impact on the kids' lives. That's awesome. All right, last thing I got to ask you, because I said I would like 5 times. Food. So it's so funny because like my wife's from like up closer to Pottsville, but kind of rural. And I mean, there's Lebanon bologna. In Reading, Lebanon bologna, we thought Lebanon bologna was bologna.
Right.
We didn't know there was another kind of bologna. And then you go other places in life and they don't even know what Lebanon bologna is. Or even like another one that blew my mind recently. I was talking with like Mrs. T's pierogies.
Right.
Do you know like 75% of the country, they don't even have pierogies. They don't even know what pierogies are.
Right.
It's unbelievable. What do you miss the most from up here? Because I always think it's funny you chiming in on the Lebanon bologna and the Stromboli stuff.
Yeah. So we actually can get Lebanon bologna down here in Nashville. Like the local Publix. Yeah, local Publix has it, right? So the thing I miss the most is the pizza and the Stromboli. Here's why. It's something about the water up north that I don't know if it's dirtier. I don't know what it is, but that bread you can't duplicate that bread anywhere else in the country, right? Than up north in the Northeast. And I remember, my daughter never lived up north. We were never back up there. But I remember the first time I took her to A&M Pizza in Lebanon, and we got a Stromboli. She was like, oh my gosh, like this is just different. I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you. Like, it's amazing. So it's something in the water. I don't know what it is. She got a cheesesteak the next time we were there. She got the bread. She's like, this is unbelievable. Like you just can't find it anywhere else. And they try here in Nashville, and I got my favorite spots, but man, you can't beat that bread up north.
You know what keeps me up at night, Kerry? Remember, I'm a recovering offensive lineman here.
Right.
It keeps me up at night thinking, well, what food do they have other places that I've never heard of?
Right.
Like what's the Lebanon bologna of Arizona, or like the pierogies of North Dakota that I've never even heard of? That like might be like incredible, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But and down here, obviously, we got hot chicken, we got all that stuff here in Nashville, and that's southern barbecue, meat and threes, I mean, all that stuff. But man, until you've been to like a smorgasbord, like you don't know what that's about. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what if you've never been to a PA Dutch smorgasbord. I mean, you haven't lived yet. That's kind of the way I see it, right?
Hey, Kerry, I can't thank you enough for the time. And honestly, you were so cool to me that time at Anthony's and also when you were at Penn State. You always had time for me. You were so friendly. And I don't know if that helped foster my love of the game and help me end up, being able to play for a while or whatever. But, it probably wouldn't have helped if you were a jerk to me. So
Right. No,
I really appreciate you. You were like my idol back then. And so for you to treat me the way you did meant a lot. And, can't believe now I have all these helmets and game balls and stuff behind me. And in some small way, I feel like you helped that, man. Thank you so much.
Of course, right. It's very flattering, man. I appreciate it. And, I was glad to see you do well and have a great career, man. And glad to see what you're doing now. And best of luck with that, the softball with your daughters, man. That's the most important thing, right?
Thanks so much, Kerry. Really appreciate it. It's a good interview when you have a two-parter, because if it wasn't a good interview, I wouldn't have kept asking him questions. Just like I wouldn't keep drinking and telling you guys about Labatt Blue Light unless I really enjoyed the taste of Labatt Blue Light. By the way, I've been crushing Labatt Blue Lime this summer. Labatt Blue Light Lime this summer. That's a nice beach drink, nice pool drink. Anyway, always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross. We'll start with the owners. We'll vote on the Commanders' sale to Josh Harris on July 20th.
They will, and they will approve it for $6.05 billion. I've said this before, Jack. I'll say it again. This is why my whole theory is that I wish someone would have let me borrow money to buy the Commanders, because it always goes up. You see Michael Jordan bought the Hornets for like, what are they called, the Hornets? I don't even know.
Yeah, they're the Hornets. He bought in for I think it was like $200 some million back in like 2004.
Yeah, and he's selling it for $3 billion. Like, there is no better investment right now than a professional sports franchise. So I guess you have to have the money, the assets yourself, at least 30%. I'm going to be a little short, just a little short on the Commanders. Good for Josh Harris, though, because, man, these guys, the franchise values just keep going up and up and up and up. Speaking of franchise values, what's your franchise value right now, Jack, for Max.com? What's your go-to show? You watched the whole thing of Succession, right?
Yeah, so I've watched the whole thing of Succession. My girlfriend's been having me watch Harry Potter. I've never seen that before, but we've been watching that for the last couple of weeks. It's all right. I'm not.
Wait. Harry Potter, like the movie? How many movies are there?
I think there's 8 movies. We're like nearing the end here. So we've watched 6 of them so far.
But that's mainly for like 12-year-olds, right?
I think. I don't know. It was all right. I mean, I'm not it's like a 6 out of 10 in my opinion, but I think it's kind of like the same demographic as like people who like Star Wars. Like there's like 9 Star Wars. Like, yeah, I guess they're for 12-year-olds, but everybody enjoys them.
Anyway, plans for Max start as little as $9.99 a month. Max is the one to watch. Subscription required. Visit max.com.
Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill is set to face charges for allegedly slapping a boat marina employee.
This isn't good. I mean, obviously, but also, haven't we had like 4 reports on this in the last week, Jack, that have gone back and forth? I feel like he is going to get charged. He's not going to get charged. Now he is going to get charged. I mean, if you're the boat marina employee, my guess is someone probably told him you want them to press charges because that gives you more more leverage in your civil suit against Tyreek, because I'm sure he's going to try to shake him down for some money. I don't know how any of this stuff works. My recommendation would be don't put yourself in that situation in the first place. I don't know what happened here, but I'm pretty sure something happened, because I don't think people make up that out of the blue a guy comes to a marina and just gets on a boat without asking anybody. And I don't know if Tyreek I don't know, Jack, off the top of my head, if he's been disciplined before by the NFL. I mean, obviously, I know he had that incident with his wife or ex-wife or whatever. So I don't know if this could potentially rise to the point where he have to miss a game or something.
More charge news with wide receivers. Assault charges against Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams for shoving a photographer have been dropped.
I don't even know what to say about some of these. Good, I guess. Good for Devontae. Good for the situation that the charges have been dropped. I don't know. I mean, he shouldn't have done it. It was not real good by the photographer to be in his way as he's walking off the field. But I don't know. I mean, sounds like he won't miss any games this year is I guess my big takeaway.
Some contract extensions for the Buffalo Bills, GM Brandon Beane and head coach Sean McDermott have been extended through 2027.
So I'm going to make this my Labatt take of the week, Jack. It's presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I would not have done this. Sean McDermott was already under contract for 3 more seasons through 2025. I really don't understand why the Bills felt the need to add 2 more years. Now, I would be saying that no matter almost what team it is. Why not see how the 2023 and 2024 seasons go and then make a decision? He's not going anywhere. He's under contract for 3 years. Now, that said, the Bills missed the playoffs for 17 years. I know. I was there for 3 of them before McDermott got there. He and Brandon Beane deserve a ton of credit for turning around this organization. A ton. But I don't know. How would you feel if you're a Bills fan if they have a bad year this year? Or what if they have a bad year this year? What if the next 2 years they don't even get to a conference championship game? I mean, at some point, wouldn't you want them to try another coach to see if maybe they can get Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, this group of players over the hump? I just don't understand the need to do it now. Would not have done it. Let's get to an email, Jack.
Ever wanted to ask an NFL player a question? Well, here's your chance. It's time to Ask Ross.
Email address is ross@rosstucker.com. We don't get to a ton. I wish we get to more. Maybe we should just do an episode coming up where we just get through a bunch of emails. But if you ever take advantage of any sponsor, you can ask me an email question right away and get right to the top of the list, or you can just email me anyway, but you'll be at the bottom of the list. ross@rosstucker.com. Go ahead.
This question says, "Hi Ross, love the podcast. Quick question that you can answer whenever that I want to ask before I forget. What overarching themes did you see in the NFL this past year? New things on offense, defense, coaching, officiating?"
That was from Greg Mink. And
That
obviously it was, what's that?
That's not Greg Mink is a different one.
Are you sure about that?
Because there's divider. Greg Mink is the one below that.
Okay. Yeah, you're
I'll
right.
edit this
Sorry.
out.
No, that's all right. So I don't know who this is from. So that's my bad. I don't know what I saw this year. It's a good question. I guess I noticed the importance of a quarterback's ability to run is increasing with every passing year. You saw that with Justin Fields and some of the success that he had. Saw that with Jalen Hurts, obviously, and the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. We'll see how that manifests itself with Lamar Jackson this year. It's a big reason why the Colts took Anthony Richardson, I think, over Will Levis. So I would say the continuing increased importance of quarterbacks running, I think, is what jumps out to me, probably more than anything else right now. Other than that, make sure you check out the college draft. I think we're done here.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Fantasy Feast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
Need to make sure that you check out Pizza Boy Brewing, Sporticulture, HumanHeadNYC.com, SteakhouseSports.com, Go-Bangles.com, Evergreen Economics, BackOfficeSchedule.com, and the best gift-giving business I'm aware of, MyFrontPageStory.com.